Once upon a time, there lived a bird in the golden castle. She had the most magnificent of cages. It was wide and tall, allowing the bird to fly freely within it. There were bells in the cage that she rung and played the most divine of music. She always had all the food she needed and the finest of grain from all the kingdom. She had the clearest of waters brought to her from the best of springs, and the most colorful of jewels and silks that decorated her cage and around it. But despite all the riches, over time the bird grew tired. She could not understand why, within her heart, there was this longing for something else. That despite all the shine and beauty that she saw around her, there was a tingling sensation in her chest that this was not it. She looked all around her, and amongst the shining jewels, she could see the bright light shining high above in the room. She heard the girl that looked after her call it sun. And over time, her imagination and her desire for something else than this made her dream about the sun day and night. She dreamed that she could fly high and touch it and bask in its luminosity close to it. And so, one day when her cage was open for the girl to play with the bird, she slipped past her hand and flew high. I will never go back to that cage, the bird thought as she flew higher and higher and higher. The sparkles of jewels and gold all around the castle room. But she cared for none of it. She wanted to be closer to the sun. And the higher she flew, the freer she felt. She could feel the gentle wind behind her wings and all the space in which she could move and dance. She didn't even know she wanted this until now. This is it, she thought. When I reach the sky, I stay right at the top of this room, and I will be with the sun forever from now on. It was so bright and blinding that she couldn't even see it. The shape of it was hidden by its own luminosity. So determined, she flew faster and higher, and suddenly she felt a bump and was thrown back. She regained herself in the moment and, flapping her wings, flew back into the sun again, and boom, again she was thrown back. She was puzzled. What is this? She thought. Is the sun rejecting me? Where am I to go if that is the case? And as she flew into the sun for the third time and was thrown back again, she heard a cackling. Who is laughing at me? She asked, blinded by the sun, not unable to see anything or anyone. Here by the window, she heard. Follow my voice. Your vision will regain in a moment. And the bird did just what she was told. Slowly and with caution flapping her wings, she soon found her feet touch the cold rock, and she felt the gust of fresh air coming from the other side. A moment later, she could see the shape in front of her, and as her vision became clearer, she saw a bird, a grey pigeon with white spots, looking at her. They both were sat at the window right atop the castle room. That window was an air vent, with 2 bars stretching across it, separating the bird and the pigeon. "Look," said the pigeon, and accompanied by the pigeon laughter, the bird looked back at what she believed to be the sun. It was just as bright as from the bottom of the room from where she flew, but now she could see the shape of it from where she was sat up. "It is a lamp," said the pigeon. "It is no sun. Indeed, it is beautiful and covered in crystal shapes that reflected the light and its iridescence across the whole of space and room. But, dear one, it only seemed as a sun to you because all you knew to exist was this room, and that was the brightest within it." He could see that she was disappointed. He looked kindly at her. "Come, little bird," he said. "Let's go and I'll show you the real sun, in the room that is much bigger than this, that is full of things you might have never seen, that might seem scary to you, but they are also so beautiful." The bird looked perplexed. "Come where?" she said. "There are bars on this window. I can't leave. It's not possible." "Of course you can," said the pigeon. "There is nothing here but the bars, and you could easily squeeze by them." She was terrified. She didn't know it was possible. How could she squeeze between the bars? That is the barrier, and bars are there to protect her. Bars are there to show her that she cannot fly past them. The pigeon could see her hesitation. He turned once again and moved his head through the bars closer to her. "You see," he said, "you could always squeeze through those bars. And indeed, you could have squeezed through the bars of your cage too. They are wide enough to give space for you." Trembling but excited, the bird took a couple of steps and, following the pigeon, moved her head through the bars. And to her surprise, nothing has happened but the fresh gust of fresh wind that met her and kissed her on the cheek. She moved her feet further and pushed her chest, body, wings and tail forward, and found herself sitting on the edge of the window on the other side. She was thrilled. She almost lost her breath as she looked down and around her, and deep within the horizon she could see the setting sun and the rutilant colors that stretched all across the sky. She could hear the wind and feel its freshness playing within her feathers, and she could see the tips of the trees, the pines, the birches, and the mighty oaks. Somewhere in the distance there was a sea whispering and inviting her over with its crashing waves on the golden sand. "You see," said the pigeon, "a much bigger room." He smiled and took off, and hovering in the air, he waved to the bird, inviting her over. "Fear not," he said, "the wind is with you too." She moved closer to the edge and jumped, stretching her wings open. She felt the wind catch her, and she felt exhilarated. She flapped her wings and caught up with the pigeon, excited for her new adventure, and the two of them flew into the sunset to meet the sun.